Hello, hello, and welcome to Awaken Your Human Design. My name is Moni.
And I'm Danny G.
For the week of May 26th through June 2nd, the Sun will be in Gate 16 and the Earth in Gate 9.
So this is going to be a time of great focus and enthusiasm, just as the gates are keynoted, and we'll see that as we move on. It won't have the same quality. What did I give the quote? Zippity doo dah? That's
For
not
the
quite this.
2034.
Yeah, that's not this anymore.
No, this will be a little bit more focused and enthusiastic.
Still may have some zip and some do and some da, but they just won't be the same.
Perfect. So thank you to everyone who's watching, liking, and subscribing and helping us grow. We really, really appreciate it. And let's dive into it. Here we can see on our mandala view, we have the Sun in Gate 16, which is enthusiasm, and it's a throat center gate. And conversely, the Earth is in Gate 9, which is details, and that is a sacral gate.
It's just so cool. This quarter of civilization is all being made manifest through the throat. We've been through nothing but throat gates, right? And 16's capacity to say I experiment or not. I mean, I'll try that experiment or not. I'm enthusiastic or not. And to broadcast that is driven and given and informed and formatted by Gate 9, one of the format gates, one of 6. And Gate 9 is just focused and concentrated details, taking many things and scrunching them into something. And the sacral power to sustain at doing that. It gets excited. So basically, the sacral's capacity to go ahead and do all that is rewarded with enthusiasm and excitement about it. Now, if that can be shared, good thing. If not, a little less.
So here we have the Sun in Gate 16, which is enthusiasm, and the Gate of skills. This is the great art of enriching life by the harmonic channeling of energy. Gate 16 is a throat gate, part of collective circuitry. So sharing is our keynote, and it's part of the understanding circuit specifically. Gate 16 links up with Gate 48, which is the gate of depth, and the 48-16 make the channel of the wavelength. Gate 16 is about identifying with a skill, dedicating yourself to the repetition of the pattern, focusing on practicing it until reaching a point of mastery that transcends the skill itself, becoming art. Gate 16 is always looking for the perfect ways to express expertise. Living one's life becomes its own masterpiece.
Oh my God, that's just so true. I don't even need to say anything after that. But if you just take that quite literally, like take all of these mechanics that were just mentioned here, literally, add into that a flair for the reward that I had said just a moment ago. This constant giving itself a reward back and forth if it's living as itself. The enthusiasm and the excitement and the capacity to want to identify. Oh my God, I found this thing. Do you like it? Yeah, I like it a lot. You're going to keep doing it? Oh my God, yes. That's the joy that comes out of here. And its joy is given all this depth by Gate 48. And the depth is not just a survival depth. It really is a depth of your own tastes and the things that you become aware of that feel good to you. I mean, the spleen is the feel-good center. Oh, wow, okay, I feel better. Yeah. Oh God, I feel better you're around. That's someone with an open spleen, happy they're next to their defined spleen partner, right? And that's the same thing here. So it's informed by this whole capacity to identify with the thing that 16 wants to get excited about. Everything in the throat gate that manifests, you can add the word want to, because it wants to do its thing. I'm 45 and I want to possess all of this knowledge, and I'm 23 and I want to explain it. So, and all of that want is towards higher good. We just left that, the power of being, for its best and most common good.
With the
So,
2034.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, for saying that. So everything in this thing keynotes it exactly perfectly. Mastery turns into an art sooner or later. That becomes your reward. That's the thing you'll end up sharing. That's the thing that goes out into the world. And that's the thing that you get to, again, use with your strategy and authority to make sure you're around the right people doing it. I mean, this really just gets you to the right people, your strategy and authority every single time. Don't let Gate 16 carry you away. That's the only thing I'll say about it, because think about what getting too enthusiastic can do. and getting just sort of too identified and into it. If gate 9 starts to obsess, no one can obsess like these people. No one can obsess like these people. These
Gate
people are the
9.
master obsessors right here in this opposition in the wheel with the 16 and the
Wait,
9.
are you talking about 9 or 16?
Both of them, because they're in opposition to each other, they can 9 can obsess like no other, but because it's here with 16, the enthusiasm can be enthusiastic like no other, and it can only be enthusiastic about its obsession. Even if it doesn't have a gate 9, 16 will be part of that whole understanding, logical, collective circuitry, sharing itself enthusiastically and its focus and its concentration. This is intense. I have this gate. I have gate 9 too in a defined sacral. Yay.
Oh, good.
Yep, these are my nodes on my design side.
Next up, we have the Earth in Gate 9, which is the taming power of the small and the gate of focus. Potential can be fulfilled through detailed attention to all pertinent aspects. Gate 9 is a sacral gate, part of collective circuitry, so sharing as the keynote, and it's part of the understanding circuit specifically. Gate 9 links up with Gate 52, which is stillness, and the 52-9 make up the channel of concentration. Gate 9 acts like a funnel, focusing Gate 52's enormous power to concentrate on what is meaningful and worthwhile for you. This is diligence and detail, or an ability to focus energy, with the sacral capacity to persevere. Gate 9 can focus attention for long periods of time on all detailed aspects of a project or issue and properly test or assess the formulas.
Oh my God, can it? So I'll take no one can obsess like a gate 9, and I will crown that dub that the saying for gate 9. And it is a rewarding focus is the thing. And that's how you know you're on the right track, because it feels good. You could just tell it lights you up, and it gets your energy. And the thing is, anything that gate 9 has captured its attention at that moment that happens, this is going to happen for the being if they have a gate 9 in their body graph. And this is like a beautiful, you can count on that. In other words, you can count on what the taming power of the small really means in every project you ever got behind. There's no such thing as a project for these people that if they got behind it, that they couldn't help but to get all the way behind every pertinent aspect, every pertinent details, all of it. And it doesn't feel like too much. That's gate 9's one of its beauties, is to recognize as a response coming from the sacral that indeed it's not too much. And everyone else says it's way too much. Then it's like, for them, I agree. It almost certainly is. For me, it's not. And just to go your own way with that, because ultimately it's going to be something you share. And taming. So what the Chinese call this, the taming power of the small. That meant something big to them, to take all of the small and almost like magic, put it together, like putting Humpty Dumpty back together again. Humpty Dumpty, he can get put back together again through gate 9. You need everyone else too, by all hands on deck for that one. But
All the king's horses and all the king's men, they're going to come together, and with Gate 9, they're going to get Humpty Dumpty back together again.
they didn't have gate 9 and a 9-centered body post 1781. Not my fault.
Yeah.
So that's gate 9 in a nutshell. And when you combine it with gate 16, you put that together. That's why these two things talk together so well. This is an easy one to see. It's like, oh, hey, justify why those two are in opposition to each other on the wheel, why they go together. So, and have their own polarity amongst them. Why is that? It's so obvious in this one. If I'm going to pay attention to a ton of details, I might as well have this process that feels identified with it, right? And want to persevere and go after it, enthusiastically bringing it into the world. Throat gate manifestation. So to me, these two gates make perfect sense in opposition. I would love to do that one day, Moni. Explain all the opposition gates and just why they make sense. Like justify every single one of them in a way. That would be amazing. But anyways, yeah, that's pretty much it for gate 9. Just you're gonna obsess about things. You're good with your fingers and you can put it together, stuff like that.
So next up, we have our Incarnation Crosses for the week. First up, we have the right angle cross of planning, which adds the 37 and 40 to the 16 and the 9. And these are enthusiastic people who deeply identify with detailed solutions or the right work and with finding a logical way to express progress and mastery. Then we'll move into the juxtaposition cross of experimentation, which adds the 63 and 64 to the 16 and the 9. And these are influential people who are skilled in getting their network to enthusiastically support their new experiment. And finally, we'll move into the left angle cross of identification, which also adds the 63 and the 64 to the 16 and the 9. And these are people with a strong logical orientation capable of getting others to identify with and support or underwrite their skill or project or to buy their stock.
Mm. So I'll start with a juxtaposition. I'm just laughing because these people would be naturally like enthusiastic or over enthusiastic in a way, and or they're very sad because they can't be, because they can't share the thing. They can't share the thing. So this is a very special person. This person must absolutely be in tune with their strategy and authority, so they know that what they're sharing has its correct timing. You know, this will not have the same thing as what we just left with 2034, which can create its own right timing, at least initially, almost over and over again. This one, not so much. You know, I know it's generated and it's invited. It's both. So, just make sure you keep that one together. So planning, this is so beautiful. So we just came off of 3 throat gates right in a row, beginning of the cross of civilization. Civilization says, get that stuff started, and then mother and father will come in to plan. The very first gate of this, of gate 37, as it comes into this cross of planning, isn't that the mother and the father?
The first line of
It's
37, yeah.
mother fathers. It's the archetype of mother father.
Yeah, it's that harmony.
It's either the first line or the sixth line, is one of the two. And the fifth line of it is love. So it leads to love.
The 37 line 1 is the mother father, and it's harmony as the key to successful maintenance of relationships. So yeah.
In a theistic capacity. So there's also the end. God is here too. You know what I'm saying? And rituals here too, as in the family's expression and how it would normally express. And what it's saying is, hey, all you individual freaks, thank you for the whole startup process, but the family's taking over now. Civilization is familial business first. Well, technically, it's empowered business first, because we just got through 3 gates of empowerment, but it's leading towards the planning. In fact, the planning planned so well that it made the beginning of this quarter of civilization do its thing first. So I love the way this comes in, because ultimately it says we're supposed to be enthusiastic, focused on the things that make for a successful working family. And we're supposed to get a lot of ego joy out of that, and pride, and feel good. And this is the good kind of pride that's like, hey, it just feels good, not being, quote, prideful. That's what comes in with this. Planning is everything to us. We're in the cross of planning as the greater global cycles go. It's been conditioning us this whole time to be like this cross specifically. So now would be a time to really dial into the larger universe and think to yourself, am I connected out there as I am below? As above, is it as below? Because that's what's happening during this particular transit. There's a correlation between the two. I don't know how I'm going to notice that. It's just coming out of me right now, but identification. So the movement from the planning through the experimentation is necessary. The planners would like to know there's experimenting going on. I'm not sure they were up for as much experimenting as would happen in this juxtaposition. But then after all of that, the planning and the experimenting leads to what will we identify with? We're about to move into consciousness, the family, and its love of itself, and God, or its God, or however that works out for that family. It's sort of spirit, it's total overall spirit. Now we'll enter into the meaning of all of that, the meaning of all of that, the meaning of all of that. It's about to get under pressure to do what humans do so well and get to the meaning of it. So now's a great time to get to the meaning of certain things, or start your pursuit, and the meaning will come at some point. But the intention of meaning making here would be a really good thing.
finally, we have our hexagrams for the week. First up, we have the sun in gate 16, which is enthusiasm, and the trigrams are thunder over earth. The image reads, thunder bursts forth from the earth, enthusiasm. The ancient kings composed music to honor virtue. They celebrated and worshipped the Supreme Lord, joining with their ancestors. Thunder bursts forth from the quiet earth in spring, waking the plants, stirring everything into growth. The ancient kings channeled the joy of spring into music, singing with the thunder. The people participated in ever-rising energies. Their spontaneous emotion becomes part of the rich and subtle fabric of relationships, the harmony of music, veneration for the supreme divinity, and the family of the ancestors.
So the thunder is grounded by the earth, and the enthusiasm shall be tempered by what it then grows. Enthusiasm and the capacity of gate 16 to bring stuff along through the act of sharing does still manifest potentially sort of new things into the world. Shall we say refined things, refining. And the thunder of the enthusiasm gets grounded in the earth. That's what I heard in all of that. I heard that it's something that makes sense for gate 16.
Good.
Okay, I'm glad. Are we all glad now? Are we okay?
Glad it lined up correctly.
Yeah.
Next up, we have the earth in gate 9, which is details. And in my I Ching books, it reads as small taming. The trigrams are wind over heaven, and the image reads, wind moves above heaven, small taming. A noble one cultivates the natural pattern of character. The wind moves above heaven. It doesn't yet bring rain to earth. It is directed by the inner creative force of heaven naturally moving with it. Inwardly, there are unchanging principles. Outwardly, your actions gradually take on the shape of those inner principles. This is self-cultivation that aligns you with a creative power. It concentrates on growing potential rather than bringing about results.
Oh my God, that's just so good. What was the other word for details at the beginning?
Small taming.
Small taming
Like the
or
taming power of the
tamings.
small.
Yes, small
Small
tamings is
taming.
actually and taming's plural to me, whether it has that plural or not, I'm adding it. Um, Small tamings, because I guess that's just a perfect description of it. To me, when I think of wind over heaven, I'm like, well, heaven's already up in the clouds. It doesn't, the wind is just like, doesn't seem like necessarily a ton to it. So it's just a little bit. The wind is a little bit. Like to me, as a 5-year-old kid on my bike, the wind is stunning, but up in heaven, it's like that's just sort of another thing. I guess that's how I'm seeing that.
But it also like crazy powerful. Like the higher you go up, like the more the wind blows. At what point do you consider like the heaven crossover, like the heaven earth crossover? But like high up wind is crazy powerful.
Yeah, that crossover to me is just this phantom spot that's in my imagination. I don't need to know. And the wind pouring through heaven as it's over. It's not just over. Apparently, it's pouring through because the very last two lines that you had read of the description were all about Gate Nine's capacity to have what stays true within a sacral response that's always true outside of the mind first, and have that be something that then is displayed slowly without. It speaks to its taming process. The taming process is the process of moving from within that which stays tried and true to your responsive nature and moving it without into the world, parking it basically, parking a semi trailer filled with all kinds of parts, you know, and lots of beeps to back up and stuff. It takes a moment.
Yeah, I just had the thought of going into actual trigrams of wind and heaven. So heaven is the creative spark, and wind is that subtle, far-reaching influence, right? It's very light, but it's
Yes.
far-reaching. And so if you think of it in the trigram sense, it makes sense because it's a creative force and above. So it's grounded in the creative force. And then above is the subtle, far-reaching. So it makes sense. Like details are small. You almost
Mm.
don't notice them, but it's actually very far-reaching, even if it's subtle and small.
Yes, and it does, and it pulls from that inner environment that stays true to itself and helps create it on the outside in these small things and bits and pieces that keep pouring in. In fact, the reason it's funny to say no one can obsess like a gate nine is because the obsession isn't for 5 minutes, it's for years. Potentially, because all the little details that have to get tamed into making the picture, to basically having it become something that you can logically see and have be seen. It's
That's
very
accurate.
yang, it's a very yang energy.
Oh yeah, it's got 5 yang lines and 1 yin. So, tying it all together, what can we tell our audience for working with and experiencing the energies of the 16 and the 9 this week?
I mean, you might get freakishly enthusiastic about something that you just can't help but to dwell on, and you can let that happen if that takes place. Just, warn your significant other who might be going through it themselves. Um, if you're a generator, you'll definitely, and don't have these gates, you'll definitely pick up on it. If you're a non-generator type, you might pick up on it a little bit less, depending what other, gates you have and harmonics you have on one side or the other. But I always get I know what it's like to obsess about something. So there's something you've had a passion for in your life, many things. Um, Pick one and see if you start to throw yourself into it for a little while. Just recognizing that when this energy leaves, it'll leave, so that's important to know. But for this week, you can allow that to happen because it leads to identification. And, the whole cross isn't in the sky. So it's not like we have the cross of planning channels, 3740 is not transiting us right now that I'm aware of. So it is just this energy primarily. Allow something to suddenly bring you into the now that you just want to wrangle and rackle with, and that feels like you feel like sharing it with another and you're sort of excited about it. Find out where those moments are and what those little things might be this week.
Yeah, I feel like this would be a really fun week to kind of dive into
Fun, yeah,
something, fun, like
fun.
nerdy,
It's supposed to
like
be fun. It's supposed to be, like I said, and fun.
yeah, and like those nerdy details, like grounded in these like details that you want to get into. So the sun shines that enthusiasm of 16, of something that you're really into, something that you've been practicing, something that you've been playing with, some skill that you've been developing. Yeah, the 16-9, like that sounds like a really fun one to play with, I think.
Yeah, it just sounds like fun. It's not so heavy as the 2034, which might drive you a little bit insane. But this is the movement. This is the movement that guaranteed civilization. So this is part of civilization building. It's both gates need to be shared. So this is about something that will become a part of you. That's a tapestry that is forward facing into the world. Don't I mean, you can focus all on your own little hermit cave if that's what a little bit, but ultimately you won't be happy unless what you're doing is also towards a higher purpose, higher good that wants to, share this out into the world and with friends and something or other, something like that. Have it become part of what you show to the world.
Yeah, have some
Proudly, right? Proudly, boldly. I'm excited.
yeah, have fun this week, explore something new, play with your skills and what gets you excited, and as you said, the collective circuitry aspect and like sharing it with, those you love.
Yeah, focus. Focus on something. Just focus. In fact, I don't even nothing else. We could just say, dude, pick something, focus on it. Well, what should it be? I don't care. It's got to be something. So pick
And
something and focus on it.
have some fun and share it. Thank you, Danny. Thank you to our audience. Thank you for liking, subscribing. It really helps us out. And we will catch you next week for another transit. Bye.
Much love, everybody. Thank you.